What's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you probably already know, this is my first monthly Plan With Me video of 2022, but I'm so excited about it that I thought I would say it anyway. I started my January spreads with something new I want to do throughout the year, which is to have this chapter page next to each of my monthly cover pages, and I will fill in the bar more with each month that passes. I always struggled with finding the perfect quote to put next to my cover pages, so this just makes it a little easier for me when I'm planning my spreads. Plus, I think it would look really cool to see the bar progress as the year passes. And I also plan to change up the color to match the theme for each month. Then on the other side, for my actual cover page, I wrote January in a tall and skinny handwriting with a dark brown brush pen to go with my theme of coffee. I've been getting into coffee a little bit lately, so I thought it was only fitting to make it my theme for January. So I drew a single large coffee cup centered above my monthly header, and I made it look like one of those double-walled glass mugs, 1, because they look super cute, and 2, so you can actually see the coffee inside of it. I then added some steam above the cup, colored in the coffee, and added a drop shadow on one side of the cup to give it some dimension. Next, for my calendar spread, I went back to one of my favorite layouts, which is a more open one where you just draw the horizontal lines of the calendar. I love the openness of the design because sometimes the regular calendar layouts leave the boxes too small to write anything in, and then I don't end up using this page at all. And I love to plan things out monthly, so I need this page to be functional for myself. After writing in the numbers for each day, I wrote the monthly header at the top left section of the spread, and then wrote in the days of the week above the calendar using the other end of the brush pen that I used for my monthly theme color. I normally would highlight that section above the calendar, but because this color is so dark, you won't be able to see anything you write in it, so that's why I chose to just write them out in the brown color. But if you like to highlight that part, you could use a lighter brown color instead. Then, in the extra space at the top and bottom of the calendar, I drew 2 coffee cups. And I realized later on that you could also consider this theme as hot chocolate, so if you don't like coffee, you could still use it and make your theme hot chocolate instead. Because I had some more empty space at the bottom of the page and I didn't feel like drawing any more coffee cups, I decided to add something new to this spread, which is a monthly to-do list. So I wrote monthly to-do in cursive using the theme color, and then in 2 columns highlighted every other line using a lighter beige color. To start off the new year, I decided to try some new weekly spreads to change things up a little. So for my first one, I chose a horizontal layout that has all of the daily sections taking up most of the page. I normally have the daily sections only taking up about 3/4 of the spread so I can fit some doodles, but I wanted to make the boxes a little larger this time so that I can write a bit more in them. For the design of each section, I added a flag that drapes over the top left corner of the box, which is where I will write in the number for each day. And then I wrote in the days of the week across the top portion of the box in cursive so that I could connect them to the outer edges of the box. You will see later on, but I used these same flags on each weekly spread to tie them all together and make them a bit more cohesive. Because the boxes take up the majority of the spread, I made the Saturday box a little bit smaller so that I could fit in my mini calendar. I normally don't have many things to write down on Saturdays, so I didn't mind taking some space away from there. Then, in the remaining space at the top left, I drew a coffee cup to tie in the theme, and because it takes up most of the remaining space that I had, I only wrote the first 3 letters of January for the monthly header to the right of the drawing. This is the only space I was able to incorporate the theme with how large the daily sections are, but I've been thinking I might also include some smaller drawings inside of each box to give the page some more color. So you'll have to check out my Instagram to see if I end up doing that. Next, I colored in the flags with the dark brown color I've been using for the theme and wrote in the numbers using a white gel pen because if I used my black pen, you definitely wouldn't be able to see the numbers with how dark the flags are. And lastly, I filled out my mini calendar. I chose to use a lighter brown to highlight the week, but you could still use the dark brown marker and then use the white gel pen to write in the numbers in the same way I made the flags. For my second weekly spread, I made kind of an unorganized but still organized layout. If you've seen most of my spreads, I normally go for a symmetrical, super organized look, but like I said earlier, I wanted to try some new things this year. So I started by making my daily section shaped into squares, and I randomly placed them around the spread, leaving a few empty spaces around the page. And as you can see, I incorporated the same flags as the previous spread into this one as well. Then across the top section of the page, I wrote in my monthly header and also drew a coffee cup in the empty space at the bottom right corner of the spread. Next, I colored in all of the flags with the theme color, and again, I wrote in the numbers using my white gel pen. My gel pen hasn't been working too well lately, so I did have to go over the section a couple of times to get the numbers to look white enough. I still had a remaining open space in the bottom left corner of the spread, so I added a main to-do list for this week. I just wrote main to do in cursive using the dark brown marker and then highlighted every other row using the lighter brown marker. I'm hoping this will help me be more organized and less stressed about getting things done on certain days. Let me know in the comments if you've used a main to-do list in your weekly spreads and if you liked using it. To finish the spread, I highlighted the area where I wanted to write the days of the week using the light brown marker and then wrote in all of the days in my regular handwriting. If you have trouble with your pen smearing when you're coloring over something, I highly suggest coloring the area first and then writing or drawing whatever you want to put there. This has helped me a lot, and it also makes everything look a lot cleaner. My third weekly spread is tied as my favorite for this month with my last weekly spread, which you'll see in a minute, but I used a vertical layout for this one and also added the same flags to the daily sections as on the previous pages. I like to change up the orientation of each weekly spread so that they don't look too similar to each other, so I try not to have two horizontal or two vertical layouts on back-to-back weeks. This just keeps things more interesting for myself and makes me more excited and motivated to use each spread. Anyway, as you just saw, I concentrated all of the daily sections to the top right portion of the spread and added my monthly header across the bottom left corner. And then I just drew two coffee cups spread out from each other across the extra spaces. In the small area at the center of the spread, I added an events section, writing events in cursive and then highlighting every other row in that light brown marker. After that, I moved back to the daily sections by coloring in the flags with the dark brown marker and the small sections at the top of each box with the light brown marker. And to finish the boxes off, I wrote in the number for each day in the flags with my white gel pen, and then the first 3 letters of each day of the week in all capital letters. I had quite a bit of space left, so I added a main to-do list for this weekly as well, and I made it the same way as the event section to keep everything cohesive. And then lastly, I added in my mini calendar. For my last weekly spread, I actually used a layout that I've done in the past, but not very often, and I added some new elements to it to make it feel different. So I started by adding my daily sections with the flags concentrated to the center of the spread, leaving the left, right, and top areas open. Because there are only 7 boxes, the entire bottom right portion of the page remained open as well, but you could add an 8th box if you wanted to keep this page really symmetrical. Next, I added the monthly header centered over the boxes at the top of the page, and then drew 2 coffee cups in the top 2 corners of the spread. And I mirrored the 2 drawings to keep the symmetrical look of the spread. For the final time, I colored in all of the flags and wrote in the numbers of each day into each one. Then I used the light brown marker to highlight where I want to write in the days of the week, and then wrote in all of the days in all capital letters. Along the left edge of the spread, I made 2 extra sections, one for events and another for notes, and I designed them in a similar way as all of the previous spreads. Additionally, with all of the extra space at the bottom right, I also added a main to-do list in the same style as the other 2 sections I just made. Because I still had some room along the right edge of the page and I didn't want to add any more sections, I chose to include a quote here that goes along with the theme instead. So I just wrote the quote, "Coffee because adulting is hard," and I alternated between different lettering styles. Then to finish the spread, I filled in my mini calendar at the bottom left corner. To start my mood tracker, I wrote mood in my monthly header style centered at the top of the page, and then wrote tracker underneath that in a smaller all uppercase font. Then, for my actual tracker portion, I drew 31 small coffee cups, one for each day of the month, and I will fill in each cup based on my overall mood for the day. I'll be using 4 different shades of brown to represent 4 different moods, but you can use any number of colors you'd like. I decided to draw each coffee the same way as the rest of the theme, but you could instead draw different types of cups or mugs throughout this tracker if it seems too organized for you. I've also seen other people do the same idea, but they put each row of mugs on a shelf to make it look like it's at a coffee shop or your kitchen. So there's a bunch of different ways to make this spread fit your style. And with the remaining space at the bottom, I drew in my mood key. Then for my habit tracker, I did the same thing as my mood tracker and wrote habit in my monthly header style centered at the top of the page, and then wrote tracker underneath that in a smaller all uppercase font. A goal of mine is to consistently use my trackers this year, so for the design, I decided to do something different from my normal layouts since I was getting a little bored with them. So I started by drawing banners where I will write in the habits I want to track, and then underneath the banners, I drew 2 concentric circles to look like you were looking at the top of a coffee cup. I'm not very good at drawing a steady, smooth circle, so I used some small lids I found around the house to use as stencils. Notebook Therapy has some awesome stencils for this, but I couldn't find any of mine, so I had to improvise. Then I added a handle on the outside of the largest circle to make this actually look like a mug, and I finished the design by dividing the ring into 31 sections. And then I just repeated that whole design on the bottom half of the page. Because this tracker is so large, I was only able to fit 4 habits on this page, so if you like to track a lot of habits, then you can easily make this into a 2-page spread. Because I want to actually get myself to use this spread, I kept it super simple and only put 4. Next, I filled in the center of each tracker with the dark brown color to look like coffee, and then filled in the banners with all of the habits I want to track for January. But that is all for my 2022 January Plan With Me video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some good ideas for your own journal. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video.